68 degrees in Chicago, and Jim Wynne is next with the news live at 55 here on WLS.
WLS.
I just said that.
In Chicago. In Chicago.
Chicago firemen are battling a 311 alarm fire on Cottage Grove Avenue. This is Jim Wynne, WLS Chicago, standing by with the full report on this and all the news from WLS ABC in Chicago.
This report is brought to you by WLS News as a public service, one of 58 summaries broadcast daily as part of our continuing citizen service.
A 311 alarm has been sounded for a fire that is said to be in an abandoned building at 6035 Cottage Grove Avenue. Snorkels are being sent to the scene to help 8th Battalion firemen battle the flames. The House has chopped $307 million from the administration's foreign aid bill. Democratic leaders had their hands full trying to stave off deeper cuts. House members worked late into the night on the measure. The cuts brought the aid measure down near the $2.8 billion mark. This is about $200 million above the Senate version and more than $500 million under the Johnson administration's aid request. The Alliance for Progress item was among those slashed. Funds for the alliance were reduced by $72 million. The House eliminated from the foreign aid bill a section granting the government additional authority to make arms sales to other countries. The amendment does not, however, curb existing authority. The shooting down of another American plane over North Vietnam has brought the week's toll of losses to 13, a near record. The Air Force Thunder Chief fell victim to communist ground fire in raids which sent American fighter bombers to within 30 miles of Red China. The pilot was reported missing. Other aircraft struck the Kep Ha airfield 37 miles from Haiphong. The only ground action of any consequence was an enemy attack on Marine positions south of the demilitarized zone. The Communist East German news agency reports from Hanoi that 76 civilians were killed and 151 injured by American bombing attacks on the North Vietnamese capital in recent days. The toll reportedly is for the period between August 11th and August 23rd. Viet Cong terrorists have been busy again in the Saigon area. 3 Vietnamese civilians have been killed and 9 others wounded in a mortar attack on a police station on the outskirts of the city. The raid was in an area where guerrillas have been active in their campaign to disrupt the forthcoming elections. 2 other civilians were killed and 11 wounded in another police station 80 miles from Saigon when terrorists exploded a Claymore mine. President Johnson drew brickbats from Republicans for his plan to send American observers to watch Vietnam's election. Kansas Senator James Pearson called the move worthless and said it was being done only to mollify American critics of the upcoming vote. Wisconsin Congressman Henry Schadeberg said the U.S. has no business sending observers and said it would be like having Vietnamese oversee the fairness of American presidential elections. Meanwhile, in Saigon, half of the 48 senatorial candidates accused the military government of rigging the election. Iowa's Republican Senator Burke Hickenlooper, one of the 20 members of the South Vietnam observation team, told WLS,
I think it's purely observing, and I think probably it's to give some support and confidence to a free election effort in South Vietnam.
Last month, the president of Columbia University, Grayson Kirk, announced a new cigarette filter, proclaiming it a dramatic breakthrough in limiting hazards of smoking. He said the filter, in which Columbia had a half interest, would be immediately made available to cigarette makers. Yesterday, Kirk told the Senate Commerce Committee,
I want to assure this committee that until a testing program, and a very extensive testing program, is completed, the results prove entirely satisfactory, where we'll not license any cigarette company anywhere in the world.
A man who became abusive in St. Rita Church at 5500 Broadway stabbed a priest there 3 times last night, but was held by the priest until police arrived. The victim, Father Peter Shannon, was treated at the Edgewater Hospital. The man arrested is 46-year-old Edmund Burke of 5928 Ridge Avenue. A woman and two men, all armed with revolvers, fled with 3 fur pieces after beating the owner of the Lene Cassan fur store at 644 North Michigan Avenue yesterday. The trio drove off in a stolen car. The 75-year-old store owner, Albert Cassan, was treated for head injuries at the Wesley Memorial Hospital. Chicagoland's weather before daylight this morning, fair with a low in the upper 50s. Later today, sunny and warmer, the high in the middle 80s. It's 68 degrees officially in Chicago. Relative humidity is 90%. The winds from the north at 5 miles per hour. This is WLS News.
You have just heard another of 58 daily newscasts presented round the clock over WLS to keep you in tune with the times.
Any exclusive WLS interviews heard on this report are the sole property of WLS Radio News, which prohibits their rebroadcast over other news media.
Next report in 25 minutes, bulletins at once over WLS, your window on the world.
That's the latest news from WLS Radio. This is Jim Wynne, WLS News Central.
WLS in Chicago.